Well, hello and welcome again to Edison Light Globes video. I'm Phil Greenwood, and today what we're going to do is another one in the series of light globe sizes and what they're for. And today we're going to do the G125, or the 125mm diameter. See, I told you there was noise. 125mm diameter spherical globe. So this is a ball. This is used really commonly as a bare bulb pendant. Because it's so big, it fills a bit of space. It's traditionally used in quantity, so there might be 6 or 7 in a bar, over a table, that sort of thing. So it's the cheapest way to get like a light fitting without actually buying a light fitting. All you need is a pendant with a lamp holder and one of these, and you pretty much nailed it. Now, the thing is, these types of globes, these size of globes, have changed a lot over the years, and what I thought I'd do is explain the various types of globes that we've got in relation to what was available traditionally. Now, you probably still see these in operation. This is a halogen globe, and you can actually see inside here a very small halogen lamp, which is in all halogen globes. It's all the same size, all 42 watts, all fairly bright, but it's a really small point source light, so it's a little bit harsh. You can see that there on the other camera. It's a really small fitting. Now I'll turn this on and I'll explain what I mean. There you go. So the problem with this globe is that because it's such a point source, it's got a harsh shadow, and the harsh shadow is not that pleasant. A lot of people use a dimmer, and I've got one here, and you can turn them down, and I guarantee there's been a lot of places that you've been in that have this effect, where it's a very dull point source inside a big piece of glass. That's fairly old technology and not that efficient. Does heat up, not very useful. So we remove that one. Now, the first globes that we had made were like a vintage Edison style globe. So what it was, a replica of like a carbon filament. Now these are a much larger filament, less efficient than halogen, but the key is they're a lot more attractive because they have a very large filament. So these become a very soft, not a soft shadow, so you don't get a really harsh shadow, but that's it, full brightness. I don't know where you can see that on the video, and the video is hard to photograph these things because it tends to overblow them. But as you can see, that's like a hot wire, still incandescent, 25 watts, very warm, about 1800 degrees Kelvin, so quite warm, but a really useful globe still, in a decorative sense for the purpose we're describing. Now I'll take this one out. That's right, Lou. And we'll do a variation of that globe, which is essentially the same hot wire. It's incandescent, 25 watts, 1800K, G125 again. And don't ask me what that is in radius. It's half. Or is that circumference? I don't know what that circumference is. What's the circumference of a 125mm round globe?
It is 125 times
multiplied by pi. So what this is just a spiral. So it's a hot wire filament. It's got a little less actual filament in it, but it's still 25 watts. Again, decorative, warm, a large filament, so soft, not a lot of harsh shadow from this globe. So a perfect globe for a decorative type fitting, where you need a bit of a soft light, warm light, and you're not real worried about efficiency as such. So not creating a lot of light, not terribly efficient, but still a useful G125 globe. Now what we thought we'd do next is show you what is our equivalent LED of the first vintage globe. So this is like what you call a vintage LED. Now, these are fairly modern strip, or are they strip filament? So like a strip filament LED, so a bunch of small, well, fairly long actually, LED strips, and these are warm, but quite a useful globe again, because it's a big filament, but again LED and more efficient. So these are only 8 watts, but a heck of a lot brighter than our traditional incandescent globe. Now I've turned that down to show you. So you can see it's similar to the incandescent globe. It's not quite as warm. It's 2200K, not 1800K, so a little less warm, but it will go a lot brighter, and you can see that's quite a bit brighter than the 25 watt incandescent. So you can still dim these. They can go right down to quite low. Again, decorative, very useful, really efficient. They don't create a lot of heat, so these might be a good alternative in a decorative sense. The one really good thing is they don't blow anywhere near as often, so they last a heck of a lot longer, which means you don't have to climb on a ladder and replace the globes every 12 months, 2 years. But this should last 5 years domestically at least, if not longer. Now we do have another LED. Now this is a very different idea of an LED. The idea of this one is to create what would be a lot more output, so a fairly bright globe. So this is 12 watts, that's 8 to 12. It's got a crisscross of more filaments, so there's quite a few more LED strips in this one. Now we'll turn this on, and if you can see, I don't know if you can see if it's getting darker or lighter, but you probably can. But at 10, is it 10? 11 watts, 10 watts. I'll turn it right up. So that's it at full brightness. So what we use these for is where you've got a globe, say one globe in a room or 2 globes in a large room. You'll get enough light to describe everything in the room. You can turn it down if you want it to be dimmable. It's not as warm again, it goes a little bit cooler. It's 2700K, so it creates a little bit more light again. But LED, efficient, lasts a long time, creates a lot of light. It's still decorative, but brighter, as bright as we'd want to make it. And this set to about the brightness range where if it was any brighter, it'd be just a little bit difficult to look at, and therefore not decorative because you can't look at it. So we'll take this one out and we'll go on to the next one, which is a opaque LED. Now this is the same filament as the 8 watt that we were looking at before, but not in 2200K. I think it's in 2700K. So it's a bit of a combination internally and externally. It is in fact a, can you see that? Yeah, it is in fact a sort of opaque. It's a little less than accurate, this opaqueness, but it is still opaque. Now what this does is provide, well, traditionally a very soft light. Traditionally where we started with the halogen, which had a point source, the idea of the big, there you go, the idea of the opaque was to make it a bigger light source, so therefore a bit softer, nicer shadows, softer light. With LEDs, you probably don't need this type of globe as much because the filaments themselves are quite large and provide a fairly soft shadow. But we still make what is essentially the equivalent, a soft, opalescent G125 for decorative use. We'll undo that and we'll show you the next one. I'm going to electrocute myself doing this, aren't I? Maybe not, or hopefully not. Now the next one is, again, the same type of internal globe, but they're this time clear, but with a, I can see myself, with a mirror base. And again, these were designed back when globes weren't LED. This idea, and what it did was it pushed light up or down, or in a direction particularly, but the idea is it can create light just on the ceiling, or if it's the other way around, just on the wall. If you put them the other way around, it would throw light down and reflect down and not on the ceiling. So you can use these as directional. They're no longer 360 degree. They're a little bit decorative because of the filament style, but warm. I'll turn that down a bit. Warm, but with this big mirror component, which for some products, for some designs, is actually quite attractive, I suppose. I'm not a big fan, but I think these are done also sometimes with a gold mirror. Sometimes the mirror's on the top. We have this one, and we probably wouldn't do gold. It's getting a bit weird. I think to match brass light fittings possibly, but that's not something we've done. Now, that's all the ones that we've probably got at the moment in G125. But what I thought I'd show you is a globe that is due in very soon, and this is probably the latest of the latest LED technology. We don't have a G125 currently in stock, they're all gone, but we've got more coming in. It is in fact sort of a very long, not a strip LED, but a very long single filament LED, which has then been fashioned as a spiral. Now, the long form LED is a little less bright, so this is only 3 watts, but it's reasonably good. It's probably equivalent to about a 40 watt vintage incandescent, so quite an amount of light. Now this is a G95, so obviously the G125 is essentially just bigger glass, but 3 watt, again 2200K globe, soft light, quite a useful globe, extremely efficient, and as far as I can tell, the first few that I bought in are still operating. Probably 3 years they've been running pretty much every day, and we haven't had many blows. So these are not only efficient, but they're also lasting a very long time, which is a good thing. So that's all of our G125s. It probably would do more. They take up a lot of space, I've got to say. When you reorder 500 of these globes, it's equivalent to about a cube pallet. So you can imagine with all these styles, if we had 500 of each, it'd take up a lot of space. One of the problems we've got is the cost of space. So we get the globes in that we think are the best suited to a number of different applications, and this is a good set. So if there's any other globes that you would prefer to see, you can always let us know. You can always ask. We may be able to get a few samples in to test. But by and large, out of this range, if you can pick something from this range of globes to use, we don't have the halogen, by the way. That was just to show you what they look like. But anyway, we'll try to encourage the range further. We'll use more G125s as we get them in. But for the moment, I think what we'll do is we'll probably, next video or two, we might talk about other globe shapes and styles and what they're for. Because we have had people ask, what is a G125? When would I use it? How bright are they? What do I use them for? So there are other globes and other shapes, tubes and different sizes that are used for a particular purpose, and so we'll probably go through those in the next couple of videos. So until then, subscribe if you like the video. Thanks for all those who've subscribed. Thumbs up, all the business, and we will see you again next time we do a video. Cheers.